Lunch and Learn is an MFG radio network production brought to you by GIE Media's Manufacturing Group. We highlight some of the latest innovations in manufacturing and design to help you gain insights to the newest products and technologies in the medical, aerospace, defense, and electric vehicle manufacturing industries to keep you ahead of the competition.
To welcome you guys into the latest Manufacturing Lunch and Learn from GIE Media. I once again am Jake Kaufman, the managing editor for GIE's manufacturing group of magazines. We are glad to be joined today once again by SMW Autoblok President and CEO Larry Robbins, as he will discuss how automation and work holding work together and how they can affect each other on the shop floor. We'd like to thank SMW Autoblok for sponsoring today's Lunch and Learn. SMW Autoblok is a work holding company that is focused on achieving customer goals and expectations with the highest quality products and services. SMW Autoblok combines stocked standard product with a highly trained sales force, also a service and engineering team that constantly and consistently provides the ideal work holding solutions to customers across a wide variety of industries. Now, Larry Robbins joined SMW Autoblok in 2007 as the national sales manager, and he was appointed the president of SMW Autoblok's commercial division in 2019, and then was appointed CEO in 2024. As CEO, Larry manages all strategic sales and marketing initiatives, as well as overseeing SMW Autoblok's North American sales team and customer base, including machine tool dealers, OEMs, and channels currently under development. He also oversees the international products and global product launches, including their new wireless connectivity company known as SMW Electronics. But without any further ado, Larry Robbins, the floor is all yours.
Jake, as always, thank you so much for accommodating these webinars. It's always I learn something every time I sit with someone else on these webinars, so it's wonderful for me. Jake kind of described what I'm going to talk about a little more. It's a little broader spectrum. If you look at work holding and automation and the two technologies combined, if you'd ask somebody 10 or 12 years ago to go from changing a chuck to a vise to a special fixture to a mandrel back to a vise back to a fixture back to a chuck, it gives you the ability now to take components that generally would have required different mountings and different actuations, put them on a standard base called an APS system or a 0-point system. And it allows you now to have quick changeover between product to product and be within 5 microns. With automation, the biggest challenges are knowing the product to automate and not to automate. And the funny part is, again, if you'd ask somebody 15 or 20 years ago, automation, large, high production environments, not a lot of parts changeover, not a lot of variation in part quantities or part designs. Today, especially specifically in our own facility, we're getting ready to put automation into use with robotics instead of doing it now where we're craning them in, still having the repeatability and the speed of changing over, but we're taking the next step in automation. Well, for what we do at SMW Autoblok USA, our base product, chucks, vices, 0 points, standard plates are all made in either Germany or Italy. Everything that touches the part, whether it be a custom locator, custom set of jaws, rough location pins, whatever the customer's needs are for their specific application, their automation needs, we can accommodate. We also have the ability in the United States to make special components that touch your part. It allows you to have much more flexibility because of the depth and breadth of our product line. What makes us stand out amongst our competition is, first of all, we have the largest standard product offering of any chuck or work holding manufacturer in the world. Specific parts of our product line, of course, we have more competition than others, but in the product lines that are our major sellers, we're larger by multiple times to 1 over our closest competitor. The fact that we have the ability to manufacture in the United States sets us apart a little bit too. There are very few, as to all of our chagrins and with what's going on in the economy and politics now, which I won't talk about, The big focus now is on reshoring. Totally understand, totally agree. We have to have the infrastructure built to do these things and to react to customers' needs fast, quickly, repeatably, over and over. And again, like I said, most of what we make is one piece of everything, but we still feel like automation gives us an edge. It allows us, again, to repeatably and accurately relocate parts, whether it be on a lathe, a mill, a 5-axis mill, multitasking machine, whatever the case may be. There are all different sorts of automation. You know, people think of automation as a robot, either picking and placing parts, or again, in high production environments. We're seeing now more and more customers are doing more and more changeovers because the lot sizes are getting smaller and smaller. And we give them the ability through the integration of our automation and electronics products to get those repeatable setups down to one piece and be worth your while to still use automation, robots, whatever the case may be. You know, if you look at robotic or automation manufacturers as a whole, they generally service one part of the market. We have, robot OEMs or robotic manufacturer OEMs. We have all the integrators around the country. We have machine tools. We have special machinery. You name it, and people want to automate it now. It's become the buzzword in every seminar or conference you go to. It'll be the major point of focus beyond the economy. But because of our abilities and having the capacity here in the United States to manufacture, we can manufacture anything specialized. We've made reverse engineered chucks in the United States for customers who bought specials years ago for companies that are no longer in business. We have customers that come back and ask if we make something they purchased from someone else in the past, and we would be willing to design it and build it for their needs. The answer is yes. We are flexible enough that we will look at a customer's application, make a recommendation. That recommendation may also include sending you to either one of our competitors or a company that specializes more in that. I try to impress upon our customers, our salesmen, our inside people, our engineers. We have a large, huge, like I said, standard product offering. But there are a lot of people that make special product. What makes us stand away from those is we take all of the base product is standard. The only customization is done on the top tooling or on your grippers or your parts transfer equipment. So reality is, when you buy a total special that's designed and built from the ground up, you know, your deliveries are anywhere from 12 to 16 weeks. If you get a great vendor and they're remaking something you already did, 6 to 8 weeks. For us, our goal now is to produce any special product, getting the base product, making all the mounting components, making the special touching features. Our goal is to be 8 to 10 week deliveries. And on duplicated projects, so if we've made something for you in the past, it's already been designed, it's already been manufactured once. If you crash a machine or have a catastrophic failure, we have the ability now to do what we call a duplication of that product, or dupe. We avoid going through engineering again. We don't have to have the customer approve it because it's already been approved. And at the same time, it allows the customer to be back up and running in a third to a half the time that they would have been normally buying a special product. The other thing we try to implore upon people is, if you're buying something that's specialized, that's critical to your manufacturing throughput, if you're going to buy special tooling, buy extra. I know sometimes the costs are more than you planned on. Anything special is made once. So for us, if we run 3 pieces at our facility, it's production. But if you're running production in your facility, you're making 50 one day, 50 the next week, 50 the next week. To be down for 4 or 5 weeks makes it really hard to operate. So we've in the past said to customers, if you have a standard product, we can put soft jaws on it, you can bore in your own facility, get up and running again while we make your special components. We'll actually assist them with designs for temporary fixes. We'll actually assist them with product. We've let people's chucks. We're very flexible and we're very easy to work with in that way. For a specialty product manufacturer that basically sells a standard product that we put special parts on top of, it makes us stand apart from our competition that way. The other thing is having the ability to have standard product. If you crash a product, and it doesn't even affect the top tooling, but it affects your chuck or your vise or whatever component you're trying to hold your parts with, because the base is standard, we can replace that sometimes overnight. If we have it in inventory, it can be the same day sometimes. So with that in mind, just remember, and again, poor Jake Kaufman has heard me say this in every webinar, the most important part of any production component, whether it be automation, work holding, machine tools, whatever the case may be, you need flexibility, because what you're making today is not what you may be making tomorrow. We always try to sell a customer a product with flexibility in mind for future. You know, it invariably happens that a customer will come to us with a special part or special prints. They'll present us with it. We'll always ask, is there additional parts you'd like to? No, this machine is made for the special cell and these special products. Invariably, those special cells or special products, contracts run their lifetime. And all of a sudden we get a call from a customer who's kind of panicked because they've invested whatever amount of money they have, from $10,000 to $1 million, depending on their setup. And now they've lost the ability to use that unless they understand how flexible the product can be, just by changing some componentry, repositioning parts, reorganizing process information and process procedure. We try to be a partner, and I hate to use that term because the word partner has been overused in our industry for many years. The thing I say with us is, you know, because everything we make is special in this facility, it leaves a lot of room for error. And I say that tongue in cheek because we have professionals here. Our rate of errors go down every year as our company continues to get better and better and hire better and better people. We've been in the United States since 1981. We've been in business since 1941, so it's not like we're a new company. With that in mind, just remember, anything that's specialized that has to be made from scratch, if your production is that critical, I'll say it over and over again, make sure you have a spare in your either tool crib, in the case that you keep next to your machine that keeps extra tooling. Whatever the case may be, plan ahead, because it's very frustrating when you have a customer that comes back to you on a Friday afternoon, or, you know, I'll get a text over a Saturday, we need to help this guy quickly. And a customer will say, oh my God, we clashed our last set of tooling. What can you do to help us? And I said, well, we can manufacture this. It'll take, 4 to 6 weeks. And you get that horrified, like, what? And we implore upon people, please, when your salesman tells you to purchase extras, it's not to purchase extras or to increase the price of the sale. It's to support you and help you the best we can, and to give you the information that we know is going to be critical. Even if you're purchasing the product and you don't see a need for it, our salesmen are generally engineers, have an engineering background. They're very professional. They present themselves very well. And at the same time, they ask with your best interest at heart. I know you hear this from companies all the time. We're here to service you. We are here to service you. My whole point to this part of the conversation is we try to react as quickly as we can. We will, at the end of a project, if there's an error where you provided us information that's not correct or forgot to give us some information, we will do our best to accommodate those needs. But you have to remember, if you have a 2-inch diameter part and you want to hold a 20-inch diameter part, chances are you're not going to be able to do it in the same setup or in the same fixture or in the same chuck or in the same vise. So keep that in mind also. If you're holding a 6-inch part and in the past you've done 10-inch parts, try to accommodate that spectrum so you're not changing as much. With automation, it's very quick now. Everything part to part can be minutes or seconds, depending on your system. I can't tell you how many people will, like I said, call at the last minute and go, oh my God, we crashed our tooling. What can you do for us? Well, at that point, I have to be just blunt and direct and say, I'm sorry, but because this is special, we have a queue already. We will be happy to try and interrupt that queue if it doesn't disrupt our manufacturing process. But at the same time, please take into account from this point forward, if it's this critical and your uptime is this critical and you're facing penalties from your customer, please remember, we always try to have the best situation for our customers. If it wasn't for our customers, we wouldn't exist. I mean, it's kind of commonsensical, but I think people forget that sometimes. We're a sales company with a bunch of different abilities. I hear from our different manufacturing facilities around the world, that the United States is very unique in a way that we have the ability to be much more flexible in our production. We have customers that are have the ability to be a little more flexible. But the one thing we're lacking in our industry right now is a lot of the just intrinsic knowledge you gain over the years, because the generations that are coming up behind mine and the generation before me, any facts you read say you're probably going to have 10 different jobs in your life. And that's the kids that are graduating now. You'll never stay anywhere long enough to be vested in a retirement account. But at the same time, companies face a challenge when employees look for different opportunities. First of all, the company values an employee, you find ways to keep people interested and attracted and to stay. Our biggest challenge is finding young people or people that are younger than me to come into our industry, get some information, get trained, maybe revisit what they're experts at. And at the same time, we're giving people the opportunity to be flexible in their job. We always say we try to promote from in wherever we can, keeps continuity. And for our customers, and the reason that's important in work holding and automation is because if I'm presenting this to a person who's worked with you for, 2 projects or 200 projects, if they're familiar with your production environment and your atmosphere, they're going to have the ability to be much more think on their feet, think outside of the box to make your situation much better. With that in mind, we don't just supply chucks and vices. We have ID clamping, we have OD clamping, we have a full line of chucks, from a standard 3-jaw sliding jaw chuck all the way up to chucks that do multiple operations just because of their mechanical or their electronic abilities. We are the first company to introduce the ability to power a implement for work holding, whether it be a chuck, a vise, a part sensor, 0 points. We have the ability to electrify those. Well, the problem with electrification is when you get into 5-axis machines or some very complex machines, is the ability to run either electricity, hydraulics, pneumatics through the bottom of the table and come up and mount to the part. So a lot of the times, if you look at machines that don't have those accommodations, you'll see a drop down from the top of the machine to plug in hydraulics or pneumatics. What makes us a very specialized environment is we've developed a full line of non-contact inductive coupling technology that allows you over an air gap to power a chuck, a vise, an ID gripping feature, a parts presence locator. Just about any component we make has the ability to be electrified as we go through redesigns and implementation of electrics in standard product. It allows you now to not have the hydraulic lines. It allows you not to have pneumatics, which decreases your costs because hydraulics and pneumatics are very expensive to maintain and to operate. With electricity, the only thing you need electricity for is you give it a shot to actuate, you give it another shot to deactivate. The beauty of this is I can actuate a part, leave it for days. When I start up on a Monday morning, it goes through a safety check that takes milliseconds, confirms that you're back, you're still at clamp pressure, you're still in location, you're still clamped on a part, and it'll send back those feedback signals very quickly so you can pull a fixture off the shelf, whether it's 2 days or 2 years later, and just go through some safety checks. Because a lot of automated product is either spring to close, air to open, pneumatic to close, pneumatic to open, hydraulic to close, hydraulic to open, it gives you the flexibility to know your environment and what works best for you. We try to come in as experts and present the best product for your application. With that in mind, you know your products better than we do. You know your part spectrum better than we do. We're making recommendations based on our knowledge that we have at that moment. We always come in with an open mind, and we always come in with the ability to make it as flexible for our customers as they need it to be, or as flexible as they don't know it needs to be. And I can't tell you how many customers we get feedback from 2 years after they buy something saying, at first when you tried to sell me a larger product that I needed for this job, I now am appreciative because our next job came in, it was 2 inches larger. And if we bought what we wanted to purchase originally, we would have to buy a new work holding component. They realized that through being cognizant of costs, what customers pay, what customers are willing to do for changeover, we try to make it as user-friendly, as flexible, and as future-centric as we can. Getting back to our electronics and electric work holding, we now have the ability, and we're the only company in the world that can do this presently. When we're powering a component, there are other companies that can do that. There's other companies that can transfer data back and forth, but no one can do them simultaneously. We've developed and we have a patented feature that makes us very specialized. That allows us to simultaneously transmit power and energy over the same component simultaneously without interrupting your electric signal or your data signal. Your reporting can be customized to your needs. We will develop the interface for your reporting. We will not store your reporting. We will not see your reporting. All we'll know is the base of your product reporting. You will control that information. So what it'll give you the ability to do now, and anybody that's ever run a manual machine, I use the analogy of the next generation of work holding is the equivalent to going from a bridge port to a 5-axis machine tool. It allows you now to have the ability to repeat your positioning, repeat your setups, repeat your grip force without having to go back to either a setup sheet and wonder if it was updated with the most recent information, or now you have this report that captures your most up-to-date information. You re-enter that information. It goes through a check process and tells the chuck, here's where you need to be. Here's the position of the part. Here's the end position of the jaw. Here's the op 10 and op 20 componentry you're going to need. And now you're just resetting up things you've done in the past without having to have the guesswork that's been in it presently. Anybody that uses mechanical, hydraulic, pneumatic work holding knows when you go from part to part, your switchover could be anywhere from 3 minutes to days. So if I can reduce that from minutes and days to seconds or hours, depending on how complex it is and the amount of componentry you're using it, I can now keep your uptime and your production up and running at an optimum rate. So I'm not taking time now to do setups and my machine is sitting idle. I'm not taking times to position a part. I'm not taking times to sweep my indicators. I know everything I take on and off of that automation, as long as you're using a base system that's a 0-point system, you're going to repeat within 5 microns, whether it's 10 by 10 or 80 by 80. So in closing, just make sure whatever you use or whatever you purchase, whether it be work holding, electronics, automation, a combination of all of the above, make sure it's flexible, make sure it's adaptable to the future, and make sure the company you're buying from is going to be there when you come back to them. Again, being in business for this many years really allows us to be the partner that you can trust for years to come and the partner that will stick by you no matter what. Again, I thank you all so much for your time. I'm sorry I didn't have pretty pictures or anything. And, I said to Scott when we first started talking before this started, I said, I'm hand puppets and facial gestures. The reason I do that is because after these, if you have an interest and you want somebody to come out to see you, I'd rather address your specific situation than try to be generalized and you go, well, it works for other people, but not for me. I appreciate you taking your time. I appreciate the energy. And Jake, as always, man, I can't thank GIE Media enough. You guys are the reason we're successful. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Larry. So we do have a few questions from the audience. When it comes to the automated work holding, what sort of safety and ergonomic benefits does it offer?
Safety-wise, there are redundant backup systems in everything. And in some of it, it's 3 to 6. Minimum, it's 3. So if you lose electricity, it doesn't matter because you're powered to actuate. To deactivate, of course, you're going to need power again, but your part's not going to go flying out. Ergonomically, because you're doing your setups offline and you're shuttling parts in and out and pallets in and out, or however your system is, you're doing setups on a station where everything is designed with ergonomics in mind. So the operator or the setup person is not constantly lifting a 50-pound part. Now it's all being done by a robot or a lifting implement.
Awesome. And then Larry, also with the new SMW Electronics, was that a business that was launched specifically for automation?
When we first started talking about it, we're a work holding company. So when somebody said, we're going to make automation and electronics, I just laughed. I was like, when I started here, we had a 20 or a 39-page catalog or a 40-page catalog, and we sold nothing but chucks. Over the years, we've acquired a lot of companies, so it's given us the ability to have many more solutions for the same issue. Again, with that in mind, guys, I always tell people, and people are kind of shocked when I do this, we're not the only work holding company in the world. I know that. I try to tell our salesmen all the time, don't be too cocky, don't be too sure of yourself, because your competitor's coming right after you. I always tell people, be honest, be to the point, but at the same time, with electronics and automation, I guess, to get back to the original question, it gives you the ability now to have predictable setups. It gives you flex. I mean, it just gives you the ability now not to have to repeat things over and over. And every time you change operators, it's like retraining someone over and over again. It just gives you the ability. You can go through 3 operators a day. It's going to do exactly what it's supposed to do.
Awesome. Well, Larry, that just about wraps things up today, but obviously a massive thank you to everyone over at SMW Autoblok, and a massive thank you to you as well, Larry. So thank you so much for your time today. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, sir. Take care, Jake.
You can listen to all of our episodes of Manufacturing Matters and Lunch and Learn podcast from the MFG Radio Network on Spotify, Apple Music, and on our websites, todaysmedicaldevelopments.com, aerospacemanufacturinganddesign.com, defenseandmunitions.com, and evdesignandmanufacturing.com.